While the eyes of the sporting world turn their eyes to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are getting ready here for the penultimate race meeting of the IMSA Sportscar Series. Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sportscar course here deep in the state of Ohio for the penultimate race of the season. Daytona prototypes, German GT3s and Porsche 911s all represented here around the 3.62 kilometre circuits with 13 corners. A good day here today at Mid-Ohio, 25 degrees Celsius with a 30 degree Celsius track temperature. Well, for the 45-minute race here today, in the commentary box here on Apex Racing TV, is Adam Bath with Ryan Walker. And Ryan, Mid-Ohio, usually known with a track being very difficult to pass on. Is it more of a driver's track? So these drivers in the IMSA Sportscar Series are going to have their work cut out here today.
Yeah, Mid-Ohio is definitely a driver's car. I mean, it's such a, I would say it's such a technical track because you've got a couple or some long straights, but also you've got some high-speed corners and slow-speed corners. It's basically a mixture of different corners. So yeah, it's a technical track and a difficult track, but one that seems to produce. It's always produced great racing in the past.
Qualifying just going on at the moment. Of course, you're racing in the Club 73 Touring Car Championship later today at Zolder GP. Have you had much practice for that?
Not at the moment. I've not really had time to practice today because I'm slightly hungover, so yeah, kind of can't be bothered.
The world of a sim racing driver right there, folks. Yeah, I'll be at Zolder later tonight for the Club 73 Touring Car Championship after seeing what was going on at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago. Can't wait to see what's going to happen there. But first, the matter in hand, and it is the IMSA Sportscar Series. Some big names here, despite the fact that the Indianapolis 500 is going on at the moment. Fernando Alonso currently leading the way there as well. Let's run you through the starting grid. It's going to be a very short pace lap here. We're starting in the final third of a lap, and we've only got 22 cars on the grid today. Pole position goes to Dirk Reinhardt, second to Joseph Burton Harris, third is David Weiss with Dragan Nikic in fourth, fifth is Danilo Piazza with Sam Fitzpatrick in sixth, then into the German GT3s, and it's made up with Matti Keda-Joa on pole position, second is Fabrice Cornelis, third is Dion Fialo with Nestoras Kiasoglu in fourth, fifth Miguel Vigo with Marco Testani in sixth, Andy Pears in seventh with Chris McGrath, the Canadian, in eighth. Cohen Klopman on pole position in the Porsche 911s with Yuko Lescalat in second. Third, Mark McDonald. Fourth, Matthias Schoger. Fifth is Manuel Sanchez with Marcel Fassbender in sixth. Johnny Brandon in seventh. And Jasper Groneweg rounding out the 22-car field. One positive for these drivers then, Ryan, as we get the pace lap ready to go, is that with a reduced field, with only 22 cars, it shouldn't be too difficult, not too many cars for the faster guys to negotiate during this race.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult with a smaller field. I would say that the Daytona prototypes, the only place that will probably have issues with lapping traffic or maybe losing time is maybe in the twisty section of the track through some of the slow speed corners.
Too long to go then. 20 seconds to go before we get the gridding underway. And yeah, a reminder of the stuff we've got coming up later tonight. We've got the Mazda MX-5, the BSR Mazda MX-5s, heading into the closing stages of their season. Alex Simpson will be along for that one with Sam Kumo, our esteemed cameraman. That'll be later on. And also, yeah, the Club 73 Touring Car Championship at Zolder, that'll be underway at 8:30. Two races in that with the VW Jetta and the Kia Optima. Always great to see multi-class racing with those two cars. Pace car leading them away then. And yeah, we're in the final sector of the lap. Got a good few corner names around this one. We'll tell you them as the race goes on. A 45-minute race with a mandatory pit stop in the race as well, and with a tricky pit lane to get onto as well. See which drivers can master the strategy best, who can make the fuel mileage last to the end of the race as well. Through the final corner we go then. Pace car in the pit lane, green flag is in the air, and Dirk Reinhardt nearly loses the car on the exit, so Joseph Burton Harris is going to lead them across the line, and we're underway at Mid-Ohio. Final corner, Ryan, pretty tricky as Dirk Reinhardt found out there, losing the lead from the pole position.
Yeah, the final corner is it's probably one of the trickiest corners to get right sometimes. Sometimes you just want to keep it flat and try and take it flat out, but sometimes on on cold tyres, it's just not possible.
Of course, it didn't help him for Dirk Reinhardt. He was on the inside, probably a bit bumpy on that part of the circuit that the drivers don't use. German GT3s have got their race underway. It is Matti Kaidajoa leading the way there with Fabrice Cornelis in second, and you can see the BMWs are very strong around this circuit due to the fact that it is very tight and twisty. The Mercedes and the Audis with their straight line speed not able to use it to much great effect around this Mid-Ohio circuit. And in the Porsches, Cohen Klopman and Hugo Lescala leading the way there in the early going, and that Porsche category is probably going to remain very tight indeed for the duration of this 45-minute races. Go through the second half of the lap. BMWs then, Ryan, working very well around this circuit. You can see that straight away. The Finnish driver Kaidajoa, a pro driver as well, and Fabrice Cornelis, the Benelux driver, really keeping the faster German GT3 cars at bay as we complete this opening lap of the race.
Yeah, the BMW in the past around Mid-Ohio has always been the car to race around here. I feel, just because it's stable, and it's stable in the slow speed corners, but it's also stable in the high speed corners. And yeah, it seems to be, according from what I've seen during the week, it seems to be the car to race around here.
You'd almost say strong and stable. There's a Joseph Burton Harris around the outside of Dirk Reinhardt at the end of the back straight and takes the lead back. Reinhardt was trying to regain the lead down the back straight, but Burton Harris late on the brakes and was able to regain the lead that he had at the end of the opening lap of the race. I think this is going to be a battle that we're going to see through the majority of the race. Joseph Burton Harris, tendency to make a mistake in recent races, but running strong here in the early going. Australia-New Zealand driver versus Dirk Reinhardt with the DH club, of course. And one thing we noticed in one of our earlier broadcasts from a few days ago in the BSR series, Ryan, is that Australia-New Zealand, they'll be running on a different server entirely to the European guys. That can affect the drivers somewhat. So Jake Blackhall last Thursday, he ended up having a crash due to the pings, and that might affect Joseph Burton Harris racing somewhat as we go into the hairpin, and they both run a bit wide there.
Yeah, so issues with Australian or New Zealand drivers, they always seem to have issues with blinking or lag, or sometimes, as you mentioned, high pings as well. So yeah, I'm guessing that some of the European drivers, when they're behind Joseph Burton Harris, they'll probably be a little bit careful when trying to pass.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, drivers can get sucked together as well during the race, so they better watch out for that. Then opening 2 laps then completed. Joseph Burton Harris leads Dirk Reinhardt, both setting very quick lap times in the early going. David Bice in third, Dragan Nikic in fourth with the fastest lap of the race, and then it's Sam Fitzpatrick in fifth, who's gained a spot since the start of the race. He's managed to get past the Italian Danilo Piazza as Dirk Reinhardt puts a few wheels onto the grass there on the exit of the final corner to start lap 4. Not much changes in the German GT3s in the early going. The BMW is really controlling matters here. The two teammates, Matti Kaidajoa and with Fabrice Cornelis in second. Battle for the lead though in the Porsches. Wheel to wheel here between Lescala and Mark McDonald. And it looks like the Cohen Klopman has lost out big time here. He's down to third position. And that can happen. Right, due to the time twisty nature of this circuit, not many straights. Therefore, if you do lose a position, you really do get shoveled back a bit if you're in a big pack.
Yeah, Mid-Ohio is a track that it's a track if you make a mistake around. Sometimes if there's a car close behind you or some cars close behind you, if you make a mistake, they can be there to pick up the pieces and pounce on you.
Porsche's just going into the keyhole now. I think that's what they call the hairpin. And now onto the back straight, used as the start line when the IndyCar series comes here, due to the fact there's so many cars on the circuit. But here we go. Can Cohen Klopman try and get a position back? Not close enough yet, and of course in the Porsches the slipstream isn't really effective in those cars, so they're going to have their work cut out getting some overtakes done today, mainly hoping that drivers in front of them are able to make a mistake and then they'll be able to pounce on that opportunity. But for the moment, the movers throughout the field so far, Burton Harris of one position, Also the position Sam Fitzpatrick, Nestoras Kiasoglu in the German GT3s also up a position, and those two drivers at the front of the Porsches, Yuko Leskala and Mark McDonald, all up a position, as well as Marcel Fassbender and Johnny Brandon. Marcel Fassbender, a man we usually see at the front in the Porsche 911s today, did set a time in qualifying, but wasn't particularly a quick one, and he's currently just inside the top 5 in the Porsches as we start lap 5 of the race. Back at the front then, Burton Harris and Dirk Reinhardt starting to put a bit of gap between themselves and the rest of the field. David Weiss in third and Nikic in fourth. So these two mainly going to scrap, and I think Ryan, this battle might go all the way to the pit stops. And in the IMSA series, we usually see the outcomes of these battles resolved there, depending on the pit stop time.
Yeah, if you can't pass someone on the track, you can always try and get by someone during the pit stops by maybe using a different strategy, maybe pitting earlier, or maybe trying to pit later. And just basically, the only downside is if you pit earlier, you have to take more fuel, but if you pit later, you don't have to take as much fuel. So yeah, it's a difficult one to decide when it comes to pit strategy.
Just seen a big incident at the Indy 500, which has just forced a yellow flag out for the pole sitter Scott Dixon. But yeah, Reinhardt really hanging it out there, nearly going onto the grass, which really can put a pace to your race around this Mid-Ohio circuit. No tarmac runoff areas at all around this circuit. Just going through the fast S's section now, and they go over that crest, and in these particularly quick cars, Ryan, sometimes the rear can get pretty light and we can see some cars spinning around, so that's another thing the drivers will have to watch out for.
Yeah, going over the crest, sometimes you have to be careful with stuff like how much power you use, or how much throttle you use, I should say. And also you have to be careful with stuff like steering inputs.
Over the line they go on to lap 7. What were the lap times like last time around? 15.4 for Joseph Burton Harris. You should also mention very quick laps around this circuit. 15.2 as well for Dirk Reinhardt. So 0.2 of a second getting taken out there. Pile on the brakes to go into the keyhole again. The different lines they take there. Third position, David Weiss has definitely got the better of Dragon Nikic for the time being. Goodness me, that's a big one for Scott Dixon. And Sam Fitzpatrick in 5th, really holding off Danilo Piazza, who's a good 4 seconds behind him now. So we'll have a look back down through the classes. Not much movement in the German GT3s. Marco Testani and Andy Pers are having a relatively close battle. Well, here, these are the two of the manufacturers that you can see at the front today, the Mercedes and the Audi. Both very quick on the circuits with a straight line speed. But here with where the cornering grip and speed through the corners is key, these guys are going to be fighting for the lower positions. And at the moment, it is Marco Testani, the Italian, has got the better of Andy Pers for the moment. End of the back straight then, into the right-hander. Andy Pers in the Mercedes, car 19. Started in 7th in class, currently still 7th there, and Marco Testani in 6th. Going to be interesting to see what these guys can really do, Ryan. The BMW's definitely, they've got the better of the Mid-Ohio circuit. So these guys are just going to have to fight for the positions that they're in at the moment, really.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment that Matti and Fabrice are just running away at the moment. It just the BMW I'm watching at the moment, watching the onboard from Matti, and the car just looks so stable, and yeah, at the moment the guys behind us don't seem to have an answer at the moment.
Joseph Burton Harris then starting to put the better, starting to get the better of Dirk Reinhardt as Testani loses it. Testani loses it at the hairpin, and from what I could see, Ronnie looks like he had a bit of connection issues and nothing that Andy Pers could do but just run into him.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at the replay now just to see what happened, and yeah, this looks like connection issues, and yeah, Andy Andy just had nowhere to go but into the back of him, and it was just unfortunately a racing incident.
We were talking about the issues with the connections for, of course, our friends over in Australia and New Zealand. But yeah, that was two Europeans coming together. Manuel Sanchez has made a pit stop very early into the race. The pro driver in the Porsches, 6-second stop for him, and he is away. Don't think that is a scheduled stop at all due to the fact that it's so short of a pit stop. But yeah, Sanchez, he might have to come back into the pits later on, because we are only just over the 10-minute mark into the race. Problem for Jukka Leskala, the Finnish driver who started on the pole position, was leading the Porsche category at the start of the lap, as I had a moment through that twisty section just over the top of the hill, and then going into the right-hander here, and luckily didn't hit the wall, but he's lost a ton of positions, down to 6th place now, as the Daytona Prototypes lap the Porsches run.
Yeah, this is when the Daytona Prototype drivers have to be really careful. You can't afford to try anything risky at the moment, and yeah, they just have to be careful.
And into the pits comes Jukka Leskala, so not wasting any time at all. 4.5 seconds stopped for the Porsche driver. Maybe these guys know something I don't, but those seem pretty quick pit stops. And maybe it's because I'm commentating on too much IMSA Sportscar Series, where those guys have to change the tyres as well as doing the fuel. But yeah, 6-second stop for Sanchez, and he is away. 4.5 second stop for Jukka Leskala. Dirk Reinhardt's got past Joseph Burton-Harris at the end of the back straight. Well, he tried to anyway. Burton-Harris back through, and the battle has restarted here somewhat. It was up about 1.5 seconds the gap a while ago, and now it's back down to just a few tenths of a second. In fact, at the line last time around they were separated by less than a tenth of a second. How close that lead battle has become around this Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. Lap 10 of week 11 of the IMSA Sports Car Series here on Apex Racing TV, and we are just over 10 minutes into the 45-minute race. And again, Joseph Burton-Harris takes a wider line into the final corner, gives Dirk Reinhardt, who seems to be good through this final sector and the first sector, right back onto the rear of car 10, Joseph Burton-Harris. Through the first corner we go. The long left-hander, 90-degree left-hander, and then onto this short run up to the keyhole. Give advice, the Texan not too far away from these guys if they start making mistakes. With the different lines again. Burton-Harris running in for a late apex there, and Dirk Reinhardt's running a wide line around the outside. Going to pick up a decent toe again. I think he's just going to be too far away to throw it up the inside. Might think about it here, Dirk Reinhardt. There's the braking point, has a little look to the inside, and he stays behind Joseph Burton-Harris for the time being, right?
Yeah, Dirk just seems to be quicker than Burton-Harris at the moment. But it's one thing I've noticed in the past with Burton-Harris, when he gets into the lead and someone like Dirk's behind him, he just seems to get a little bit ragged or makes little mistakes. So yeah, if Dirk can keep up the pressure, then he could possibly get by Burton-Harris quite soon.
Through the final corner we go, then you can see a bit of damage as well to Dirk Reinhardt's car. Over the line we go to start lap 12 of the race. Well, the lap time was like 15.6 and 15.7, 15.3 for David Price, so he's starting to get a little bit closer to these guys. Maybe Dirk Reinhardt's just starting to get held up a little bit behind Joseph Burton-Harris, and this shows how bad, how much of an impact that slight mistake was on the exit of the final corner on the formation lap. Very interesting indeed to see how this could affect Dirk Reinhardt as they go over the Indy start finish line. You can see that damage has repaired itself a little bit on Dirk Reinhardt. That front right or front left on your screens was looking pretty messed up a lap ago. Looks like it's repaired itself a little bit now, and Dirk Reinhardt can continue his push after Joseph Burton-Harris. Porsches now. Mark McDonald leads the way after the demise of Jukka Leskala. Second is Masaya Shoga. Third is Cohen Klotman, one-time leader as well at one point. Marcel Fassbender now up into fourth in class, and this top four looks like this is going to be a battle that continues up to the pit stops run, because there is no sign at all of these Porsches getting separated. Turning into a pretty good duel here.
Yeah, it's a great battle with these guys at the moment, and it just seems to be no one can pull away or no one can get by. So yeah, I think it might come down to the pit stops and who can have the best pit stop and who can get into the pits and out of the pits as quick as possible.
Dion Fialo and Nestoras Kiasoglu having a battle here. Audi versus Mercedes. Through the quick section here, the S's over the top of the hill, and back to the front again because Dirk Reinhardt and Joseph Burton-Harris still at it. But again, Joseph Burton-Harris is able to keep Dirk Reinhardt at bay, and you can start to see the frustration creeping in a little bit for Dirk Reinhardt, trying to get to the lead. David Weiss, every single lap, is starting to edge up closer and closer to these guys at the front of the pack. He tried it around the outside that time into the right-hander, but there was no way through. And Ryan, looking at struggle that Dirk Reinhardt's having, what do you reckon he needs to do down that back straight into that right-hander at the end to get the lead off Joseph Burton-Harris?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think he maybe needs to going up to the long right-hander before the back straight. He could try possibly doing something like maybe taking a wider line into the corner and then try getting a tighter exit and see if he can get a better run or a better exit and see if he can get a run on Burton-Harris.
If he can do that this time then. Out of the keyhole, the right-hander, 0.3 of a second is the gap. That's now come down to 2. Building up through the speed. He'll have the slipstream as well, Dirk Reinhardt, having a little look to the inside. Is he going to try this time? He does, but then cuts back because Joseph Burton-Harris does have the great cornering speed because he is on the racing line and doesn't have to worry about any cars in front for the time being. They are about to start lapping the German GT3s, that being said. Andy Pers is just in front and Miguel Figo is just in front of him. So in a moment this lead battle might get a little bit disturbed by the German GT3s, and hopefully these guys don't get separated, because at the moment this is turning into a fantastic scrap between Joseph Burton-Harris and Dirk Reinhardt for the lead. Through the final corner they go then, and you can see how close he is. Over the line they go, onto the front straight. Not very long at all. And now into the left-hander again, 15.8, 15.6 and another 15.6 for that is the top 3. Burton-Harris the slowest out of any of those guys at the front, and now he's got a bit of traffic to deal with at the worst possible moment. This is the keyhole hairpin, and he cannot get by at all. Can Dirk Reinhardt use this opportunity to attack as we go down the back straight then? He's going to pick up the slipstream again. Look as close as he was on the last tour of the circuit. And is he going to throw it the inside this time? No, he doesn't. And again, we stay in first and second position. A little lock up there. Off goes Burton-Harris. Joseph Burton-Harris goes wide. Dirk Reinhardt says, thank you very much. That was the opportunity I was waiting for. And Ryan takes the lead.
Yeah, I had a feeling that Burton-Harris was going to make a mistake at some point, because he was just looking ragged for a few laps. But it seemed to happen. Just ran wide, and Dirk was there to pick up the pieces and said, thanks very much, I'll have that and I'll see you later.
And you can see straight away he's starting to pull out the gap over Joseph Burton-Harris. And I did say at the beginning of the broadcast that Burton-Harris could be susceptible to a mistake, and that's all that Dirk Reinhardt needed. And the gap is now 0.8 of a second already, and he now leaves Joseph Burton-Harris to fight off the attack of David Weiss, who is in third position. Danilo Piazza has just come into the pit lane now. Could this be the beginning of the pit stops in the Daytona prototype category? David Weiss definitely losing out there as he gets stuck behind one of the Mercedes. It's not over though yet for Joseph Burton-Harris. He could get ahead during the round of pit stops, or maybe even hope for a bit of traffic that could halt Dirk Reinhardt's charge. For the meantime, it's down to second position. We'll help check in on the German GT3s then. We haven't been there in a while, and it's the two teammates at the front that are dominating proceedings here. For Masi Cardozoja, and then so Fabrice Cornelis in second, and Dion Fialo in third, and Nestoras Kiasoglu in fourth position. And then in fifth is Miguel Vigo with Andy Pers in sixth, and Chris McGrath in seventh. So not too many position changes actually either in that German GT3 class. Everyone in the same position they qualified, apart from Pers and McGrath, who have both gained one position. Right then, only a few cars have made pit stops during the race. We saw Piazza come in a few moments ago. 8.9 second stop for that Daytona prototype, and he is back on his way. Other drivers have come in. 4.8 second stop for Jasper Klopman, Cohen Klopman, I should say. Manuel Sanchez in as well, along with Johnny Brandon, Marco Testani, and Yuko Lescala. All of them have been in during the race, and most of those drivers won't need to pit either again. That's what it looks like anyway, as Dirk Reinhardt negotiates the main bulk of the German GT3 traffic. And now it looks like that David Weiss is really starting to turn the screw here on Joseph Burton Harris. And I wonder what this could be, Ryan. Maybe it's just the fact that Reinhardt might have a quicker car over the entire stint, and Burton Harris is quicker at the beginning.
Yeah, it looks like possibly Dirk's maybe running a little bit more downforce, and Burton Harris could be running a little bit lower downforce for straight line speed, unlike Dirk, who's possibly went for a high downforce for some of the high speed corners.
Into the pits comes Joseph Burton Harris, and yeah, from just a message from Sam saying that yeah, Burton Harris had a moment out of turn 1, and that allowed David Weiss the opportunity to close up. Burton Harris into the pits, and also in are our two leaders, the two teammates in the German GT3s, Matti Kaiser-Zoscher and Fabrice Cornelis as well. So pit stops for those two, 11.8 for Matti and 11.3 for Fabrice Cornelis, and Burton Harris away in a 10.8 second stop. What will that be like for the other Daytona prototypes? We'll see. In fact, interestingly enough, Joseph Burton Harris put in the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. Shows you how that pit lane really does help your time out. If you go into the pit lane, Burton Harris able to set the fastest lap of the race whilst coming into service pit stop. And now is the opportunity for Burton Harris to try and get some time back on Dirk Reinhardt. Ryan, he's out of the pits. He might not have changed the tyres. I don't think he's changed the tyres, but now that he's in clear air, Reinhardt will still have to get past the well, he has just got past the last of the German GT3 traffic, but now he's in clear air, he might be able to put some good laps in.
Yeah, this could be the perfect time for Burton Harris to push and try and push while he's in clean air at the moment, and maybe try and claw back some time on Dirk. So, but yeah, it just depends on how Dirk gets through the traffic, and yeah, we'll just need to wait and see when Dirk pits.
And Fitzpatrick into the pits. Dion Fialo also in. He's an Audi driver, so most likely will be joined behind the BMWs. Sam Fitzpatrick in his Daytona prototype, underway in 10.3 seconds, a good 6 or 7 tenths of a second quicker than Joseph Burton Harris. He gets underway behind Danilo Piazza, who is 3 laps into his stint. So interesting there. And we still wait for the top 3 in the Daytona prototypes to come in. Meanwhile, in the Porsches, Mark McDonald, Matthias Schoger, Marcel Fassbender and Jasper Groeneweg all yet to make their pit stop, as just saw a moment ago it's just got worse for Yuko Lescala. So he made a small mistake at the back end of the circuit. Reinhardt 5-second lead, staying out yet again as he starts lap 20. We are past the halfway mark in the race, 20 minutes to go now in round 11 of the IMSA Sportscar Series. David Weiss likewise, he's staying out as well. Dragan Nikic is also staying out too. So we've got 6 cars in the Daytona prototypes today, and 3 of them have been in. The other 3 staying out here as Nikic negotiates the Porsche there of Cohen Klopman. And he gets on his way as well. So interestingly, the strategy seems to be pretty open around this circuit, Ryan. Of course, Club 73, you do need to make a pit stop in that one. Do you usually go for the early stop, or does the length of the race not really cause such a great amount of strategy to be played?
I think it depends. Sometimes when I'm being lapped by the faster class, which is the Kias on Club 73, as soon as they start catching me, I dive into the pits early just to try and jump a few people in the pit stops, because if the people in front of me are getting lapped by traffic, it can normally blow them up, and also it gives you, when you're in, if you pit early and you're in clean air, it gives you a better chance of catching someone quickly.
And again, the top 3 in the Daytona prototypes stay out. What about the German GT3s? Kia Soglu stays out, same for Miguel Vigo and Andy Pers, who's got Joseph Burson Harris really up his backside there, and there might be a bit of contact because the front of that Daytona prototype definitely looking damaged. Just going to see if he did hit him. He did, but the damage at the front of that Daytona prototype looks like it's already been done. So looks like Joseph Burson Harris has been in a bit of wars during this lap. In fact, looking back, yeah, he has. So yeah, not what he would have wanted in his pursuits to try and get back past Dirk Reinhardt. Tell you what, this might just be falling into David Weiss's hands a little bit now. Burson Harris has had to repass that German GT3 traffic, and David Weiss at the moment, he's just happy following behind Dirk Reinhardt, albeit 5 seconds behind the current race leader.
Reinhardt into the pits.
Our race leader. Oh, he's into the wall! Oh no! He's done a coulthard, and Dirk Reinhardt had the race in the palm of his hand, and well, that's absolutely curtailed matters somewhat. And now it might be David Weiss who's sitting pretty. We're still yet to see him come into the pits, but Dirk Reinhardt, Ryan, well, that final corner doesn't seem to be his friend at the moment. He lost it on the exit of the pace lap, and now he's done it on the entry into the pit lane. Yeah,
it just it looks like he maybe looks like he just carried too much speed onto the pit entry, and as soon as he braked, it possibly could have just locked up the rears and caused him to spin in the pit lane. And yeah, judging by the damage on his car, that's his race kaput.
Well, yeah, indeed, it's a 20-second stop for him, and such a shame for Dirk Reinhardt. He worked hard to get back past the leader, Joseph Burson Harris, and now that's gone and happened. Well, Mark McDonald has gone off. He is the leader, he was the leader of the Porsches, and just looking back on the replay, it looks like it was due to contact. And who was that on the inside? Was that Marcel Fassbender? No, it was Matthias Schoger, the teammate of Marcel Fassbender. I wanted to know your thoughts on that, Ryan. I can't really judge if anyone's at fault for that. Schoger up the inside, and the two of them meet on the apex of the corner.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I would have to take another look at the replay to basically get a better view of what happened. So yeah, I'm just looking now, and I'll see who was at fault. Yeah, I would definitely have to say that's Matthias' fault. I think Matthias just went for a gap that was closing, and yeah, just nudged the other car out of the way. Not on purpose, but yeah, he just went for a gap that wasn't there.
And Dirk Reinhardt's... Oh no, David Weiss off, well, nearly off. He had a massive moment there at the end of the back straight. That's allowed Dragan Nikic to close in. So the driver's really making mistakes around this Mid-Ohio circuit. We said at the beginning of the show that this track really is a driver's circuit, and the driver's definitely learning the limits of this circuit here. Now this means that Dragan Nikic was within 0.6 of a second, and I wonder if David Weiss might now use this opportunity to come into the pits before he loses any more time to Joseph Burson Harris. Burson Harris is only 19 seconds down the road, in fact, so yeah, he stays out. So does Nikic. 15 minutes to go here, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all transpires in the end. 5 seconds now between Nikic and David Weiss. There's the leaders of the Porsches come into the pits. And Testani also he's swamped among the Porsches, in fact. Very quick stop from Matthias Schoger. Away he goes in 7.1 seconds stop, 6.9 from Marcel Fassbender as well. Jasper Gruneweg is the one that stays out. He is the last of the Porsches to stay out as well. He is the only one still going. Problem for Joseph Burson Harris. He's lost a ton of time. Don't know what's happened to Burson Harris. We might be able to get a replay of this. Oh dear, lapping one of the German GT3s, Ryan, at the worst possible time really. Single file really through the first corner, but he goes for the inside, and the two come together, and he's now taking his opportunity to get a win into unfamiliar territory here.
Yeah, it's been a weird race so far. It seems to be most of the main contenders in the Daytona prototype class have had issues. Bertrand Harris has had issues. Derek Reinhardt's had issues on the pit entry, and yeah, it's been a crazy race so far.
David Weiss finally comes in, but has that mistake for Joseph Burton Harris cost him a chance at the lead? It's going to be a shorter pit stop for David Weiss, of course, because he's been out of the pits, hasn't pitted for quite a while. Joseph Burton Harris down to 5th position now, 24 seconds behind. In fact, he's behind the cars that have made pit stops. Away goes Weiss, 27-second pit stop time. There goes Piazza. Danilo Piazza somehow is going to be your effective race leader, I do believe, unless Dragan Nikic has an exceptionally quick pit stop. Joseph Burton Harris is even behind Sam Fitzpatrick after that mistake at the first corner. So this race has really taken a massive turn up. And where on earth is David Weiss? Oh, he's back again. Well, he's been disqualified for a brief moment, but he's now in 2nd position. And Danilo Piazza, the Italian, the one who seems to have put the least amount of feet wrong during the race. Ryan is looking like he's going to emerge as the overall race leader by the end of all of this.
Yeah, it looks like Piazza has just been having a quiet race so far. He's not got caught up in any incidents. He's just been going about his business and just been having a quiet race and keeping out of trouble, while the other people in the DP class have had their issues, and yeah, he's managed to climb up to the front and leads the race at the moment.
Oh, remarkable, yeah. What can Nikic do then? This could be his opportunity to get a win here. He stays out yet again. This is his 25th lap on his current stint. Second is Danilo Piazza. Nestoris Kiesoglu versus Manuel Vigo. Now having a battle here. Mercedes versus Mercedes. Both blue and white cars going at it here. Kiesoglu trying to get the move done around the outside. He's car 5. Manuel Vigo is car 18. Florida versus International here. Going wheel to wheel over the top of the hill. You can see the cars getting light there. Sam Fitzpatrick, by the way, has gone off. That's allowed Joseph Burton Harris through. And I think I don't even know where Sam Fitzpatrick is. I'm still mesmerised looking at this battle here as Manuel Vigo and Kiesoglu still go at it. For the time being, it is Vigo has got the position. Right then, what happened to Sam Fitzpatrick to make him lose his position to Joseph Burton Harris? Just trying to find it. Well, looking back at it, Ryan, a bump and run, and Joseph Burton Harris might have just ended his chances of maybe taking a surprise victory here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It just looks like a bump and run, and Joseph Burton Harris. Yeah, it annoys me with Burton Harris sometimes. He's quick in the early stages of the race, and he always seems to be right up there, but it seems to be in the last stages of the race. He just seems to fall away.
Nikic comes out of the pits, but where is he? He's in 3rd position. He's in 3rd behind David Weiss and Danilo Piazza. What are the lap times like? Weiss 15.3 on that last tour of the circuit, 15.4 for Danilo Piazza. So if he can continue that pace, he might have a chance of getting with him by the end of the race. Burton Harris very wide in the first corner as well, really starting to pick up a few incident points now, Joseph Burton Harris. I wonder if he might be too far away from maybe a disqualification. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, Burton Harris now down in 4th position after leading the race in the early going. Looked like he was going to get the lead back after Dirk Reinhardt had a crash in the pit lane, but yeah, he made his own mistakes during the second stint of the race, and now he finds himself in 4th. We're only through the top 5 of each class then, as we enter the final 10 minutes of the race. Danilo Piazza leads David Weiss by 0.6 of a second. Dragan Nikic in 3rd, 4th Joseph Burton Harris, and 5th Sam Fitzpatrick. Those are the top 5 running. They're the only 5 running Daytona prototypes left in the race. Top 5 in the German GT3s are as follows. We've got Matti Kaiser Soja in the lead. 2nd is Fabrice Cornelis, who is lapping the Porsches. 3rd is Dion Fialo, and then 4th is Marco Testani with 4th actually is Nestoris Kiesoglu. That is that battle, isn't it? Between him and Miguel Vigo. Still going on, in fact. So that is the battle over 4th and 5th in the German GT3s. Jasper Groeneweg finally comes in the Porsches. Has this done enough to get him any positions? We'll wait and see. Cohen Klopman's definitely got the lead. He returns to the lead that he had briefly during the race. Matthias Schoger up into second, Fassbender up into third as well. Any other positions that Jasper Groneweg's going to lose? He's up 6 positions from where he started, to be fair. Mark McDonald goes by, the man from Illinois. The Iberian driver Manuel Sanchez also gets by as well. So yeah, so Jasper Groneweg emerges in 6th position, and he's only got to negotiate the circuit for 9 and a bit more minutes. And yeah, the top 5 of the Porsches: Klopman, Schoger, Fassbender, McDonald and Sanchez after that Groneweg pit stop. Over the line they go then. What's the gap between Piazza and David Weiss? It's 5 tenths of a second. It was 3 tenths of a second a lap ago. 15.7, 59 for the 2 leaders. Shows there the gap that David Weiss has lost. And Fabrice Cornelis, what's happened to Fabrice? He is gone, but he's back again. Well, he'd gone off there, but yeah, it looks like just a momentary lapse in internet there. And tell you what, Ryan, the teammates, they've been inseparable both before the pit stops and after the pit stops, and they're doing a very good job of commanding this race. I'm surprised they haven't started battling with each other though towards the end of the race. They're just really controlling matters at the front here as they try to get past one of the Porsches.
Yeah, it seems to be that they seem to be inseparable at the moment, and yeah, they don't seem to be really battling each other at the moment. But, so I'm guessing they might be sitting on TeamSpeak or Discord or maybe the iRacing voice chat, team chat, and saying there's no point battling each other. Basically, let's just get a 1-2 for the team, and yeah, there's no point taking any risks and jeopardising a 1-2 result.
Really doing a good job in the BMW. Was a bit more easy to control than the rest of the cars, so they're in good hands here. The two leaders in the BMWs, and of course Matti Kyler-Soja is a pro driver as well. Not a very good safety rating though, 1.04. I've got a better safety rating than that, but safety rating doesn't matter here. However, if he does pick up 0 incidents, that will help him. His iRating is pretty good, to be fair, nearly 7,000 against the closing stages of the race. Let's just quickly see the leaders untroubled as well in the Porsches. Cohen Klopman, there he is leading. Second, Matthias Schoger, a bit of a way behind. Third is Schoger's teammates, Marcel Fassbender, and Mark McDonald on his own in 4th, and Manuel Sanchez, another pro driver, in a late race battle here with Jasper Groneweg, who has got the fresher car. Maybe not fresher tyres, definitely hasn't changed the tyres, but yeah, he'll be eager to gain a position in the closing stage of the race. Those Porsches relatively close, that is over 4th and 5th position. We were noticing that Cohen Klopman, Ryan, he seems to be teammates to Kyler-Soja and Fabrice Cornelis at the moment. Both got the same paint scheme anyway, and yeah, they're managing to make a complete wash of both of the classes, the German GT3s and the Porsches. Maybe not the Daytona prototypes, but yeah, they're probably all in the same team speak, and they're doing a very good job here. Cohen Klopman, yeah, leading the field by quite a bit as he gets laps by the German GT3s in the closing stages.
Yeah, I've always watched Cohen Klopman in the past in other various leagues. I think one of the leagues that he's raced on or took part in was the SRA League, Sim Racers Asia League, I believe, and where he was really quick. And yeah, Cohen's always been a really quick driver in GT cars, or yeah, in anything you stick him in. He's always been fast.
Yeah, it was good. Being good in the Porsche series, better in, just as good in the Rus, which we ran last season, and doing good here. Only 5 minutes to go then, and it looks like that David Weiss has finally had to call an end to his pursuit of Danilo Piazza. It doesn't help that they're lapping more traffic. The gap is now around 3 seconds between the 2 leaders at the front. And David Weiss isn't too far away from Dragan Nikic, as they both lap a very battered and bruised Marco Testani's Audi down the back straight. And also through goes Joseph Burton Harris. Tell you what, podium might not just be out of the question yet for Burton Harris. Last time around he set 14.8, which is 1/10 of a second away from his personal best, which is the fastest lap of the race as well, at 14.7. I'm going to look at the inside there actually, as they're trying to get past the Porsche there of Johnny Brandon. Burton Harris over the top of the hill, rowing at about this 3.6 kilometre circuit. And up to the final section of the circuit here. Carousel. See the curve that Burton Harris took on the inside there, and now going through the final corner. So just a few laps to go. Might as well take an on-board lap of this circuit with Joseph Burton Harris. See if we can get this overtake done as well. Into the first corner. See how wide Dragan Nikic goes and how much of that inside curve that Burton Harris likes to take. Coming up to the keyhole now. This right-hander hairpin. Oh, into the back of him.
Contact.
And that's the end. That is the end for Joseph Burton Harris. Well, yeah, we saw that was always going to be on the cards. The car looked pretty damaged, and he had been in the wars today. And within sight of the checkered flag, Ryan finally gets disqualified.
Yeah, it's a thing I've noticed with Burton Harris. He just seems to be too aggressive or overdrives the car, and when he's behind people, he's too aggressive and just drive. He's just over aggressive, and I feel if he cut that down a lot, if he cut down on his aggressiveness, he would get much better results, and he would be somewhat more consistent.
Well, that will mean that Matti Kaidasoja will get moved into the 5th position overall. With just a few laps to go. Over the line comes Danilo Piazza, our race leader, then to start what will probably be the 3rd to last lap. I think we might squeeze 2 more in just because of how quick the laps are around here. And David Weiss now in 2nd, relatively comfortable now. Same can be said for Dragan Nikic as well, because of the demise of Joseph Burton Harris. Sam Fitzpatrick isn't too far behind him, but I think the UK and Ireland, the DH driver should be able to hold back the UK and Ireland driver for the final few laps of the race. Hopefully no traffic should hamper him at all. And we'll check in on the German GT3s one last time. Matti Kaidasoja really doing a fantastic job here, along with his teammate Fabrice Cornelis. Fantastic job of keeping the pack at bay. That a new team, Ben DeVol Racing. I definitely haven't seen the paint scheme before. Anyway, doing a very good job here, and yeah, it looks like they've got cars represented in the Porsches and in the German GT3s too. So these guys could be a force to be reckoned with in iRacing and over the next few weeks. Also, this is the last week. It's going to be the last week next week of the IMSA Sportscar Series. Should be a 75-minute race around Road Atlanta, if my memory serves me correctly. And that'll be a good way to end the season as well, around that famous circuit in Georgia. Right, a minute to go. It's going to be interesting, Ryan, to see if Danilo Piazza can get this another lap in before the clock reaches 0. But word on his performance, really, he hasn't put a foot wrong here, really, while everyone else has fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, it's been a pretty faultless race. And yeah, he's kept out of trouble and managed to get to the front, and it's been a pretty good drive.
He's just going into Thunder Valley now with 30 seconds left. Yeah, 75 minutes around Road America. Stand corrected there, yeah. So one of the roads, Road America instead of Road Atlanta. That should be even better, I think. I prefer Road America to Road Atlanta. But what the other drivers think. 15 seconds to go. And yeah, we should get one more lap in for Danilo Piazza. Over the line he goes, 8 seconds left. He goes on to the final lap of the race, just 3.6 kilometers left. And he will be within sight of victory. All he's got to do is hope that he's got enough fuel in the car. Should be okay. 8.9 second stop for him during the pit stops that happened earlier on. Pitted pretty early as well, 20 laps into his stint, compared to the likes of David Weiss, who's only 11 laps into his stint, and and Dragon Nikic, who's only 9 laps into his stint. So Piazza, the early pit stop, massive undercut here, especially after Dirk Reinhardt crashed into the wall in the pit lane, and Joseph Burton-Harris ended up getting disqualified. So yeah, the early pit stop working an absolute treat here. Now the battle for third also heating up. Nikic versus Sam Fitzpatrick as they go through and on their way towards China Beach and also Thunder Valley. Like I might just be able to hold on Nikic, but either way, Danilo Piazza just coming into the carousel for the final time. Impeccable drive from him. Didn't really talk much about him in the first half of the stint. He's really come to the fore here in the second half of the stint. Final corner, checkered flag, race victory. Sam Fitzpatrick has actually got past Dragon Nikic. Unbelievable. Didn't expect that to happen. Bit of damage. Might be something. There might be a reason for that. David Weiss takes second place. Sam Fitzpatrick takes third. Dragon Nikic takes fourth. Wonder what happened there. Wonder if there was a bit of contact between those guys. Just looking back on the replay, Ryan, and there was.
Yeah, definitely contact, and yeah, that was. I don't know who I could put at fault for that. So yeah, I can't say.
Kiyosoglu versus Vigo, that was a good battle as well towards the end of the race. That was Kiyosoglu that came out on top. We're just waiting for the two BMWs now to come across the line. Matti Cardasoja and Fabrice Cornelis, both doing a fantastic job here in the BMWs. And they've just got to come through the final few corners now. They're into the carousel where the contact was made between Fitzpatrick and Nikic, but no such issues for those guys. They're going to come through the final corner now. And flashing lights. Indeed, yeah, by both of them. A photo finish, that's one that the cameras will like. And Cardasoja takes the win in the German GT3s, and Fabrice Cornelis takes second, and a victory in the Porsches for Cohen Klopman and Matthias Schoger as well, with Marcel Fassbender rounding out the podium after a poor qualifying. So great job from all of those guys, and yeah, I think that's everyone finished. So we're running through the finishing order then from yeah, the final standings here from the IMSA Sportscar Series at Mid-Ohio. Win for Danilo Piazza, second for David Weiss, third for Sam Fitzpatrick, and fourth for Dragon Nikic. Only 4 Daytona prototypes finishing at the end after the 6 that started the race. Matti Cardasoja takes the victory in the German GT3s. Fabrice Cornelis finishing in second. Dion Fialo finishing in third. Fourth for Nestoras Kiyosoglu. Fifth for Miguel Vigo. Sixth for Andy Pers. And seventh for Chris McGrath. Then into the Porsches, it's victory for Cohen Klopman. Second for Matthias Schoger. Third for Marcel Fassbender. Fourth for Mark McDonald. Fifth for Manuel Sanchez. Sixth for Jasper Gronovec. That late pit stop getting him 6th in class. Seventh for Johnny Brandon. Then Marco Testani, who had to make 2 visits to the pits during the race, and then Yuko Leskala in 8th position after starting on the pole in class. And then the 2 Daytona prototypes that had the issues during the race. Joseph Burton-Harris, who ended up getting disqualified after leading the most part of the opening stint, and Dirk Reinhardt as well, who crashed into the pit lane whilst leading, and within almost certain possibility of him taking the race win here today. Road America then, Ryan, final race of the season, 75-minute race as well, so that will open up the strategy, and I think it's going to be a good final week for these guys in the IMSA Sportscar Series.
Yeah, Road America always produces great racing, and it's always produced great multi-class racing as well, and it's definitely one of my favourite sports car racing tracks when it comes to endurance racing, and I think next week we could be in for a cracker of a race.
Well then, that pretty much rounds up all the action here today at the IMSA Sports Car Series here and the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. What a fantastic job for Danilo Piazza. He's on top here in the IMSA Sports Car Series. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, goodbye to you all. My thanks to Sam as well on the cameras as well, and for Ryan for joining me. Yeah, forgot to thank you guys, yeah, for joining me here in the commentary box today. And yeah, we'll see you next week at Road America for the final race meeting in the IMSA Sports Car Series.